Hello, Senior Stoner fans. It's the real Senior Stoner back at you for your Focusv Carta with Helix Bubbler. Hello, everybody. I also have the Everlast Atomizer on it. Thanks for joining me. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Join the family with a subscription, hit that like button, and I reply to all the comments. You know, today's topic is a topic I think everybody will be affected by. This hopefully will help everybody because we all encounter this situation. Feeling overwhelmed? Well, how do we navigate overwhelming feelings? And what is being overwhelmed all about? We all get overwhelmed sometimes, and usually it passes pretty soon. But for some of us, the feelings come more often. We need to talk about what the definition of overwhelm is and how to cope with the stress that comes along with it, minimizing it. Let's get started. Well, you're probably most familiar with hearing the term overwhelmed with grief. It's one of the examples, feeling overwhelmed, that's easy to identify. But there are plenty of others that make overwhelmed a symptom of just stress. When you feel overwhelmed, stress can develop as a result of the overwhelming thoughts that are causing you to physically stop what you're doing and take breaths, deep breaths. What makes today's world the perfect place for overwhelming feelings is that there's just so much going on around us. So we need to take a deep breath. There are practical, actionable ways we can deal with being overwhelmed. Well, the definition of overwhelmed. If you're listening to this and you want to learn more, that's half the battle. Taking the time to realize that you're experiencing the stress and feeling overwhelmed can help you address those feelings very directly. Quite simply, overwhelmed is the feeling that you have too much to do and not enough mental energy to do it. So if we feel like we're on a sinking ship without mental energy, or not sure how to move forward, we're probably overwhelmed. You might think you feel overwhelmed because you have too much on your to-do list, but if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's a state of mind, not a condition. You can feel overwhelmed when there's not much to do, and you can feel bored when there's too much to do. If your mind is racing and your thought processes are overcome with irresistible urges to run away or bury your head in the sand, chances are we're overwhelmed. The mind races from one exciting or troubling possibility to the next. You're going to begin feeling overwhelmed. Feeling overwhelmed can have a powerful effect on your mental state and prohibit relaxation, prohibit relief. There are steps we can take to help overcome the feelings of being overwhelmed. Let's discuss. We need to define our priorities. When you feel overwhelmed, it's time to take a break. Taking a break prevents you from being overcome completely by circumstances. When you feel overwhelmed, start identifying what matters most. Well, manage your energy. Many people are willing to work longer hours by sacrificing sleep. If they feel overwhelmed, it's not recommended. Feeling constantly overwhelmed can affect concentration. When you get enough sleep, whatever you're able to do will be higher quality, and you'll feel better able to combat overwhelming feelings. If you surround yourself with energy builders, let's say you're at work and you're overwhelmed, surround yourself with people who are supporters of your growth. People who focus on negativity are energy suckers. And if you're overwhelmed, you need energy builders. Energy builders help us lift our spirits when we feel overwhelmed. Maintain hobbies and try to develop new ones. We could be feeling overwhelmed from one demand to another without stopping for a breath. Making time for activities that are fun for relaxation is a part of a healthy lifestyle and can prevent us from feeling overwhelmed. You need to appreciate your unconditional worth. If you feel overwhelmed, chances are you haven't taken time to acknowledge your intrinsic value. Well, if you're performance oriented, you may believe your net worth is tied to how much you accomplish and how well you do it. This unhealthy perspective can leave you feeling overwhelmed and frustrated. Take strides to overcome the feeling of stress as fast as you can, because when you're overwhelmed, the stress response is activated. It's because of that it's important to face your stress head on to manage it as effectively as possible when you're overwhelmed. Try to engage your senses. The moment you begin to feel overwhelmed, take a step back, ground yourself in whatever environment you're in, and see what your senses have to say. If you feel overwhelmed, you might be disconnected from your senses. Not only does using your senses combat the feeling of being overwhelmed, but it reduces pain and inflammation. The practice of mindfulness is a helpful strategy for grounding yourself against overwhelming feelings. Maybe you're overwhelmed because your mind is bogged down by the sheer act of trying to remember everything. Write it down. Feeling overwhelmed can be an indication of blessings in your life, like a family and a job. A practice of gratitude can help us appreciate the positive aspects of our lives and protect us from feeling overwhelmed. There's a logical reason why people clean when they're overwhelmed. Simple cleaning tasks your mind to focus on the present, helping people move away from overwhelming thoughts. Maybe delegate some tasks also. If you feel overwhelmed from having too much to do, learn to say no. Focusing on tasks and projects that are uniquely designed for your capabilities can prevent you from getting overwhelmed. And it turns out that the brain can't really multitask too well. The quality of our work will definitely decrease the more we try to do at once, and you can become overwhelmed. So try not to divide your focus or make yourself feel overwhelmed. You'll be much more efficient and effective if we focus on one task at a time. Evaluate whether a task is really necessary. Take a moment to see if you're feeling overwhelmed by self-imposed deadlines or tasks. And if you feel overwhelmed, it can truly help to take a step back. That's right. And objectively examine whatever situation you're in. Objectively, you might not be able to do it all the time when you're overstressed or overtired. So maybe after a quick nap or a little meditation, your life will seem less hazy and less doomed. It's very important that we find people, entities, where we can turn to through life's up and downs. Close friends, relatives, when you're overwhelmed, they're there for you, and vice versa. Sometimes even talking to an online counselor can help us with emotional support dealing with being overwhelmed. You see, being overwhelmed doesn't mean being stopped dead in your tracks. There's a path forward. There's a way to deal with it. And I truly hope you enjoyed this discussion about how we can deal better with being overwhelmed. This is the Real Senior Stoner. Let's take our diamond dab of the day today with an old friend, our Carta, Focusv Carta. We're going to load our brand new Everlast atomizer. This is a OG Carta with a Helix bubbler on it. Here we go, everybody. The good old Carta getting ready to heat itself up. Here we go. And the dab train is rolling. Get on the dab train. Cheers. An old friend, Focusv Carta. Still hits like a champ. Thanks for joining me, everybody. You know what to do. Join the family. Send a like. How about a comment? And remember, don't worry. Overwhelmed is a state of mind, and you can get past it. Cheers, and thanks for joining me, everybody. Have a great day.